First, today's top stories. Washington Mayor Rosien made it official Tuesday night when he submitted a letter of resignation to the Washington City Council. The council voted unanimously to accept Rosien's resignation, which will be effective March 1st. City officials had called on Rosien to step down as he passed the one-year mark of a voluntary, unpaid leave of absence while facing charges for third-degree sexual abuse. Last month, the council voted to send a letter to the city's chief executive, formally asking him to vacate the office. Rosien said in his letter, quote, "I have struggled immensely with this decision. I ran for office to better our community, and I keep returning to what is best for the city of Washington. Ultimately, continuing on with a leave of absence slows progress." City officials said they were eager to move on from the subject. Mayor Pro Tem Millie Youngquist said she did not want to spend time rehashing the past. Rosien has pleaded not guilty to the criminal allegation, but his case has lingered in the court system longer than expected. His latest pretrial conference ended in the fourth continuance of proceedings since charges were announced in January of 2023. The next such conference is set for May 10th, with the trial to follow on May 21st. However, previous court records suggested the parties were engaged in plea negotiations. Washington County officials have delegated the duties of a department which provides help to residents paying for groceries, burials, rent, and utilities to a local community action program. Washington County Board of Supervisors Chair Richard Young said the local government would pay HACAP $1,200 a year to run the General Assistance Department on top of the branch's operating budget, and that this would ultimately save taxpayer dollars. Young said he expected to save about $11,000 from the move. Hawkeye Area Community Action Program CEO Jane Drapo said the approach was an intuitive way to reduce county spending and ensure that Washington County residents in need of aid could access it. HACAP already provides the region with food bank access, energy bill relief, and some affordable housing options. 2 members of the Fairfield Police Department and 1 member of the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office graduated from the Iowa Law Enforcement Academy in December, and they are excited to use their new knowledge to better serve the residents of Fairfield and Jefferson County. Fairfield police officers Dylan Fury and Braden Nielsen, along with Jefferson County Sheriff's Deputy Brendan Lunsford, were part of the Academy's 311th graduating class that completed a 16-week training regimen in policing, criminal law, physical fitness, and emergency response. Iowa Attorney General Brenna Bird congratulated each graduate as they received their diplomas from Iowa Law Enforcement Academy Director Brady Carney. Bird said in a statement that our law enforcement officers are heroes with a good heart, and that she was proud of the graduates for answering the call to serve and protect. Local residents might remember Officer Nielsen and Deputy Lunsford from their days of playing high school sports, with Nielsen competing on the Mid-Prairie Golden Hawks baseball team and Lunsford participating in wrestling, football, baseball, soccer, and track for the Fairfield Trojans. Officer Fury is the only one who is not a native Iowan, but he moved to the state in middle school and has lived here ever since. Andrew Carbajal is in his first year as Fairfield High School's new associate principal. Though born in Denver, Carbajal spent most of his early life in Comanche, Iowa. He knew very early in life that he wanted to join the military. Following in his great-grandfather's footsteps, he ended up enlisting in the U.S. Army straight out of high school. Shortly after graduating from Comanche High School in Iowa in 2005, Carbajal decided to pursue being a combat medic. He was stationed in Iraq for 15 months and in the Army for a total of 4 years. During his deployment, he suffered a traumatic brain injury and multiple gunshot wounds that put him in the hospital for many months. Carbajal's injuries were so severe that doctors told him he wouldn't be able to learn past the high school level. But Carbajal took that as a challenge. He has learned how to deal with these difficulties and even believes that he is stronger because of it. Last year, Carbajal felt a pull to work in the Fairfield district. The town and the school had suffered multiple tragedies, and he wanted to be there for the students. Upon his arrival to FHS, the school had a very welcoming and understanding atmosphere, and he knew he had made the right choice. The Mount Pleasant Community School District Board of Directors discussed a wide variety of topics during its regular meeting last week, particularly those relevant to state legislation. Superintendent John Henriksen also gave the board updates pertaining to the Iowa Wesleyan property, grade-alike elementary buildings, and hiring staff. He said the district is in the process of creating new keys and locks for the former Iowa Wesleyan buildings. He said he hopes to have the former Howe Student Activity Center open by mid-April. The district plans to make repairs to the chapel, though it's still waiting on a final contract for repairs from the school district's attorney. Iowa Attorney General Brenna Bird stopped by Henry County Sheriff's Office and the Jefferson County Law Center last week to hear from local law enforcement officers. Bird gave a summary of her first year as Attorney General and discussed some moves happening in Iowa legislation. Henry County Sheriff Rich McNamee told Bird he appreciated her visit and said he didn't believe the previous Attorney General Tom Miller had ever visited the Henry County Sheriff's Office. Bird said her first year in office focused on building relationships with law enforcement and supporting county attorneys. During her stop at the Jefferson County Law Center in Fairfield, Bird said she liked hearing from law enforcement officers directly so she can be sure the state is serving their needs. She said much of her conversation with law enforcement officers that day revolved around illegal drugs such as methamphetamine and fentanyl and how to keep them out of the country. Bird said she is working with other attorneys general across the country to secure the U.S.-Mexico border and help stop the flow of drugs, and that she's working with county attorneys in Iowa to educate young people about the dangers of drugs. Those are today's top stories. We'll take a short break, and when we come back, we'll hear all about the Winfield-Mount Union basketball team and its path to the state tournament.
In the heart of rural Iowa, where community matters most, the connections we make are made to last. Meet KCTC, your hometown internet, phone, and TV provider. At KCTC, we're not just about technology, we're about people. Our dedicated team are your neighbors, committed to bringing you top-tier services right where you live. We believe in giving back to the community that raised us. Experience the power of a real connection with KCTC. Join us in building a stronger, more connected Southeast Iowa.
Welcome back to Newsbreak. I am your sports editor, Andy Krutzinger, and I will be bringing you the sports here. We're going to start with a little bit of basketball today. We are winding down the postseason basketball slate, and we still got one team left. Winfield-Mount Union overcomes a 14-point third-quarter deficit to defeat Notre Dame 51-49 in the Class 1A Substate 5 semifinals, which also worked as district finals. So Winfield-Mount Union district champions for the first time in quite some time. As I said, the Wolves were down 14 points in the last 2 minutes, down 10 points going into the fourth quarter, and WMU outscores Notre Dame 16-4 in the fourth quarter. And a couple of clutch free throws right at the end by Abram Edwards, who came in shooting 35% from the line, and he was 0 for 4 when he stepped on the charity stripe for 2 potential game-winning free throws with 11 seconds left. Sinks them both. WMU defense holds, and the Wolves are on to the Substate final. Cam Buffington in that game had 26 points, and 19 of those were in the second half. Abram Edwards had 12 points. Jake Edwards, 9 points on 3 3-pointers, including the initial go-ahead 3-pointer in the fourth quarter, as well as threes to end the third quarter and start the fourth quarter. Huge part of that rally. Gabriel Hemsworth ends up with 4 points. Only 4 Wolves scored in that one. Carter Lloyd did have 4 assists and a steal there. Also, Cam Buffington, along with those 26 points, had 4 block shots. Abram Edwards, along with those 12 points, had 11 rebounds to lead the team. And now the Winfield-Mount Union Wolves will be headed to Fairfield High School on Saturday night, February 24th, where they will take on another Southeast Iowa Super Conference foe and Holy Trinity Catholic, the number 1 seed from the other side of the district. Winfield coming out of District 9, Holy Trinity coming out of District 10, Holy Trinity survived North Mahaska 70-64. They used a 15-5 first quarter to jump out to a lead and hung on in that one in their district championship. And Luke Hellige, who's led that team pretty much all year, 24 points to lead the Crusaders. Gelling and Rung both had 15 points for the Crusaders there, so 3 guys over 15. Winfield-Mount Union and Holy Trinity will be playing for the second time this year. WMU did beat Holy Trinity in a SEI-SC crossover game earlier this year, 55-40. And the only other matchup of the year, Cam Buffington had 20 points to lead WMU. Helge had 17. This is a team that lately Buffington has had a lot of success over. Winfield-Mount Union beat Holy Trinity last year, and that was a night where Cam Buffington scored a cool 38 points. So a little bit of a familiar team. The winner of that one on Saturday night, which starts at 7 o'clock at Fairfield High School, will go on to the state tournament. And if WMU can pull it off, it'll be the first one since the glory days of the 90s. And our other local sub-state, Keota, who came in 23-0 and top seeded in Class 1A Substate 6. Their first imperfect day of the year comes at the wrong time. Gladbrook Rhinebeck Rebels knock off Keota 67-62. That one was at Benton Catholic High School. Keota fell down 7 points early. It was 20-13 after the first quarter, and the Eagles never led in this one. Gladbrook Rhinebeck's Michael Boyd was too much inside. He scored 25 points, and he only missed 4 shots all day, 11 for 15 for Boyd. And for Keota, another good outing from Sawyer Stout, who led the team with 14. Evan Vitito and Billy Kindred had 10 each, as did Chase Hafley off the bench, 10 points there. Tanner Waterhouse and Cole Kindred both had 9. So that was 6 players that went 9 points and over, but just not enough for the Eagles, who finished this year a banner year for Keota basketball, 23-1. But unfortunately, they will not be playing in that sub-state final, which is set to take place in Waterloo on Saturday night. Instead, Gladbrook Rhinebeck will take on the number 1 seed from District 12, which is Key of Lansing, who had a 59-56 win over South Winneshiek. So Winfield-Mount Union, our only basketball team left. We got a little football news in the area, especially concerning the area's big schools, as Keokuk has hired former standout receiver from the Iowa Hawkeyes, Marvin McNutt, a big part of those great Hawkeye teams from 2009 to about 2012. He will be their head coach, and that means that the Trojans, Demons, and Panthers will all face the former star receiver next year. Fairfield gets him first at home. The next that's week 4. Washington the next week will travel to Keokuk, and a couple weeks later, Mount Pleasant will travel to Keokuk. So McNutt will be coaching against all 3 of our big schools next year. The state bowling tournament in Waterloo finished up yesterday on the boys and girls side. We didn't have anybody get into the top 8, which throws you to bracket play. So bowling season now over. As we all know, wrestling season now over, and girls basketball season over. The girls state tournament does begin on Monday morning, a week-long tournament at Wells Fargo Arena in Des Moines. No local teams in that one. Danville, not technically a Union area team, but they had a close call last night in a regional final to get knocked out there. So only one team left of all of our winter sports teams. That's Winfield-Mount Union again Saturday in Fairfield High School, 7 p.m. Our only sub-state final of the year. So that was it for today's sports. When we get back to news break, we'll bring you your obituary.
Federation Bank is a locally owned bank providing award-winning customer service. We believe that we are more than just a federation of banks, but a federation of communities, serving Brighton, Richland, Wellman, and Washington, Iowa. Federation Bank's highly skilled staff is here to make sure you are able to accomplish your personal and professional goals, whatever they may be. Federation Bank, your family bank.
Hello and welcome back to Newsbreak. It is now time for your obituaries. Ruth M. Arbogast of Washington passed away on February 20th at the age of 87. Alan Miller of Ankeny passed away on February 16th at the age of 85. Malcolm Whitfield Brody of Washington passed away on February 17th at the age of 94. Celebration of Life services will be held at 12 p.m. February 24th at the Rex Winkle Funeral Home in Akron. Signa Brandmeier of Mount Pleasant passed away on February 18th at the age of 91. Kathleen Ann Dunn of Fairfield passed away on September 17th, 2023 at the age of 79. That is your news for Southeast Iowa. I've been your host, Alex Snyder. This has been your news break, and I will see you next time.